I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. When the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day, we're a flame in the wind, not the fire that we begun. Every argument, every word we can't take back. Cause with all that has happened, I think that we both know the way that the story ends. Then only for a minute, I want to change my mind. Cause this just don't feel right to me. I wanna raise your spirits, I want to see you smile, but no, that means I'll have to leave. I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. Even though I might not like it, I think that you'll be happier. I want you to be happier.
All right, everyone. Hello. My name is Diamond Rivera, and we are back at it with the live discussions with Diamond podcast. I believe this is episode 217. Yes, I said it, 217. And before we get started with tonight's guest, I hope everyone is having a great middle of your week. Don't worry, the weekend is coming. And everyone as well, this September 29th to October 2nd, the only place you need to be is at Dallas Bachata Festival. We'll see you there. And everyone, tonight, this next guest that we're going to have on, we have a lot of history. We've seen each other grow in this dance world from the early, I would say the mid to the 2010s and onward. And honestly, to see the work that she's been able to do over the years, being able to reinvent herself, and still now inspiring the youth. It's really a beautiful sight to see. And I have the pleasure here of having the one and only Kimberly Charles.
Hey!
Yes, I had to give you that special intro.
I know,
course,
right?
Kimberly.
I'm like, oh, wow, me?
Of course. I mean, hey, listen, both of our histories go back, but, talking to you, it really feels like old times. It's one of those cliche things of we may not see each other a long time, but when we do, it feels like back then. And honestly, again, thank you for coming onto the podcast.
Absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure and an honor. Like, I feel really honored to even to have even been asked to do this. So thank you.
No, I mean, of course,
so much.
For me, I always say this is more of a safe space for artists and creatives to come on, because we understand too, in our industry, most of the exposure you're going to get is through a 30-minute highlight reel, or whether it's a performance you've had. But a lot of times we don't have many platforms like we used to, in a sense of having the artist be heard for more than just the artistry. And I think that's also important.
Exactly.
So, I mean, for me, many people, of course, know you performing on massive stages, but also as well realizing that you're now teaching kids. And it's kind of that 180 going from the student to the teacher now. But, Kimberly, for those who don't know you, who is Kimberly Charles?
Who is Kimberly Charles? Well, Kimberly Charles is, wow, that's a good question. Kimberly Charles is a fun, loving, passionate, driven, go-getting woman. woman, I should say. Now I'm a woman because I started out really young.
Yeah.
Sorry, my live like totally tuned out on Instagram. So I'm like, focus.
It's all
I
good.
was like, no, it just cut off and I'm upset. So yeah. So I would say I'm a very loving, passionate, driven type of woman.
Mhm.
If I want something, I go after it when I put my mind to it. Yes, like any human being, I get discouraged like anyone else, but
Yeah.
who I am as a person, I've definitely grown a lot, evolved. The person that you knew years ago was very, oh Jesus. Woo! That Kimberly 10 plus years ago is not, now I'm a woman, I can say I've evolved.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm more in my own element. I'm powerful. Like I said, the main thing about me is I would say is just I'm just really passionate.
Yes.
I'm a passionate human being. Like I'm a very passionate woman. Like that's one thing. Drive and passion, those are
Mhm.
definitely two words I can say that describes me.
And that's a powerful thing to hear because, to be honest, something I preached on a lot is that female empowerment,
Yeah,
especially in our industry, because with many people telling me, male or female, telling me in their opinion that this is a male dominated industry,
it
and
is.
it's been that way for decades and decades in. But for me, what I started noticing even in my early career in the late or mid to late 90s was, even as a kid kind of growing up in this community, I started seeing more and more women slowly becoming or stepping out of just being a part of the team and now actually becoming the figures and the icons and the people we call legends now, and realizing how much female, and I always say is that, especially in the partnering aspect, I was always told the woman is the portrait and the male is the
Yeah.
frame.
I still say that though.
I mean, no, I still hold true to that. I always believe
Yeah,
that.
because yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah,
so,
yeah.
question is, Kimberly, then, you know, like you said, coming up, you're originally from Rockland County,
Yep.
but
Spring Valley, New York.
you're
Yay.
representing Connecticut. So
Yes.
my question to you is, how did dance get into your life? I mean, is it the cliche answer of dance has always been a part, or how did that begin?
Well, yeah, the beginning of it, yeah, I ever since I can remember, I loved music.
Hmm.
I always, the Janet Jackson, the Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. My house, I hold I'm first generation born Haitian here in the States. My family came
Okay.
with me. Yeah.
Sac passe, sac passe.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know. So my family is very musically inclined.
Mm.
I grew up, my mother sang in church, my grandmother sang in the church. My uncle, when he came into this country, like he just busted out. Like I was always hearing freestyle, watching him get ready to go to the club. He always plays salsa. Like one of my
Mm.
other uncles married a Dominican woman, obviously across the border right there. And we just like the house was always filled with music and dancing. Like the family
Mhm.
functions, like I was always there, like in the middle. Like the music had to be on. My aunt always played, like I know for the Latino community is El Gran
Mhm.
Combo. For like me growing up is Tabu Combo, like Tabu Combo,
Mm.
like the old school legends. Like I'm an old school.
Yeah.
Like I love the old school. Like the new stuff is cute, but I'm old.
And
Um,
when you talking about new stuff, are you talking about new dance styles or are you talking about new music?
yeah, we'll get into the dance styles later. But yeah, all of that. And then if like you're trying to get, like, I did tap, I did jazz, I did hip hop. Funny story, the only reason why I stayed away from ballet is because when I was like 3 years old, I had my cousins sit in front of me
Mhm.
and I did like a little show for them, and I spun so much that I landed flat on my face. Like it was bad.
Ooh,
It
wow.
was bad. And I was like, I'm never doing ballet ever.
Yeah.
Because I was like spinning out of control and then
Yeah.
pop right on my face.
You was feeling it. You was definitely.
I was. And then they were just froze. I'll never forget their faces like, But yeah, to answer your question, I did that. But if you'd like to know why I fell in love with salsa, I mean, I have always liked it because I did hear it. My uncle, he played it. But I had in 6th grade, I had a childhood friend. Her name is Pilar. She's Panamanian. And I remember going to her 12th birthday party, and then they played salsa, and then I started dancing with her dad and her brother. And then I just like fell in love with it at the age of 11 going on 12. I was like, I want to do this. This is cool. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I want to learn more. Like to the point where I remember my uncle had like one of the first Mark Anthony salsa
Ooh, we're throwing it way back.
Yeah, when he had the long hair and he was like this.
Oh.
Yeah. I took that album from my uncle, and then back then, Selena passed away, so her album was built big. So then you also have like, back in the day when they had the CDs with the words. So that's how I started trying to understand and learn Spanish. And I just fell in love with salsa from then on. Like, I was made fun of for it. So we'll get into that too.
Wow. I mean, and for many people who don't know, realizing the Caribbean, like there's Puerto Rico, there's DR, and with DR, there's Haiti. And many people don't know, the Haitians and the Dominicans are very closely related. If many people who don't know.
It's one island.
Yes. It was split. It's one island that was technically, logistically split. And it still fathoms people of like, they're not connected. Listen, we can stop the debate now, but what I come in fact of that is, like you said, your relative influencing you with that music.
Yeah, because when you go, like, even from the first time when I went to Haiti for the first time in 2014. They played bachata. What? The kids know it. Like at the orphanage, they were like, they're telling me in Creole, like, I know some bachata, I know some salsa. Like, they were dancing with me, and it was such a beautiful thing because music, it's just like when you go to a Congress, right? Someone could be from Italy. They see me dancing with somebody else. All they have to do is this. 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is say 2.
2.
Exactly.
2, please.
And we're dancing. We're dancing. Yes. And that's what I think is so beautiful about, that's what made me fall in love with like the art of dance, Yeah. And especially with salsa. Like, it's so cool. Because, like now there's a community where, they're called the Black of the Berry. And I remember during COVID, everyone was just speaking out about their personal experiences in the scene. And can I tell you, Diamond, I don't want to get all emotional. I've been emotional like all week. And what's crazy is I realized that I wasn't alone with what I had to face.
Yes.
Being a Black woman who, I don't speak Spanish fluently. I understand it more than I can speak it. But like, there were times when my director, Lou, he was the old owner of Latin Moves, when I would go with him to socials and I would sit there the whole time. The only girls they would ask to dance is the pretty fair skin ones with long hair, and it wouldn't be until towards the ending of the social when he's like, Kim, you haven't danced all night. I'm like, well, nobody asked me to dance. He'll pull me out onto the dance floor. And then that's when people are like, oh my God, esa negra, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm just like, really though? And back then I had a gap. I was super puny. And, like, I guess to them, it's true though, because I'm not the only person that said that. I didn't fit the look.
And that's for me, and I have to be totally honest with you, is I've hated that notion so much because even in my experience, being a stocky kid, trying to fit into these tight costumes at times with sequins, and maybe stuff doesn't always feel comfortable, and I totally understand that. And for me, I had to grow up in a sense with a chip on my shoulder of, the people are looking for the big kid to fail. They're looking for the oddity in people to find something to say, that's probably why they're not going to succeed. And what you're talking about is so extremely relevant because I've talked to many guests as well. One of them in particular is Courtney Matthews in the Tennessee, Texas area, telling me the same experience. When you just said that, it hit a chord because she told me her experience of being a Black woman going into these events and feeling like, in a sense, all eyes are on you to not associate until they feel comfortable enough. And it's living in New York. I have seen a lot more diversity, but for me, then to still, again, everybody's experience is different. And for me, I definitely, being a videographer, I have to be honest and say that I've seen that. I've seen my footage looking back, and I'm like, I've seen this woman sit down in the same spot, even though I filmed for hours, and I'm noticing like this same person's not dancing. And I know it's not them. So something is telling me, but again, that experience is extremely valid and extremely important to even touch on because, you know, COVID did a lot. It made people understand people on a deeper level because now instead of just being out, you're inside. And a lot of people, when they get on a computer and type, people don't realize you're free to say what you want. But that does not also mean freedom of consequence. And realizing things that you write do have an impact, no matter how big or small. And maybe there are some people that you've known for many years in this community that you may see different 3 years later, and that's life. And but realizing too, because me meeting you back in 2009, I would say 2009, 2010.
2008-ish.
Yes, at Connecticut Salsa Fest.
Yeah.
I believe so. And for me as well, I mean, we can both say the times have changed. Like this scene has evolved into like it's the and I say this respectfully, the oversaturation of performances. I mean, because you know, like going to congresses and festivals, it's, you know, it's an entertainment factor, but you've seen the amount of groups increase, you've seen the amount of routines increase. The quality can differ from year to year. But for you now, my question is, understanding where we've met, but understanding what was that first moment like when you took that formal training, in a sense, like the salsa training, that first class, those first initial experiences.
My first initial experience taking a salsa class.
Yes,
pretty much. Okay, that was back in 2001. It was my senior year of high school. And I walked in, I remember going, you know, back in the day, you know, the adults were able to sneak the kids into the clubs. There was a club called the Terrace Club in Stamford. And my best friend, my childhood best friend, well, one of them, her name, Mabu Michi, they're Puerto Rican. So on Saturday nights was Latin night, okay?
Okay.
And I remember seeing a showcase of kids dancing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could do that.
The kids could do it. I can do it.
I was like, I could do it. And they were all like my age because I'm like 16, 17 years old. I was like, I could do that. I could do that. I was like, I just don't know where. I knew my freshman year of high school, I heard about David's school.
Oh, Dave Melendez.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I heard about that my freshman year, but I was like, my mom's not going to let me take no train by myself.
To New York City.
To go to New York.
To the Bronx.
To the Bronx. Mind you, my mother, you know, I come from a Holy Ghost fire, Pentecostal household. That's where in
I'm surprised you're dancing.
That is what it was. You go to church, girl.
Yeah.
That's what my life consisted of. So I was like, okay. So freshman year, I was like, okay, I can't. Like, my mom's not gonna let me do this.
Yeah.
But I tell you this, I totally did the at home. I definitely did perform a salsa piece my freshman year in high school. With what I knew. You know,
what is what you knew? Because that's
what I knew was that typical, you know, hey.
Yeah, that home style. I
That
call it the
home
homes.
style. Exactly. And I did it with my friends because it was cultural night. So I did a routine representing Haiti and I did a
Okay.
routine representing Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And I knew I was destined to be some form of a dance instructor because I'm the one that like pretty much like put the
Oh,
pieces
from
together.
jump. I mean, you
Yeah.
knew off the back, like, all right,
I
I
just knew.
got the okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate the confidence.
No,
And that's
and I'm trying to dig honest. It's just so crazy. We'll talk about that too. Like I'm trying to dig back into that confidence again because it's when life happens, you kind of lose. You do lose yourself, you know. So when I saw the kids perform, then all of a sudden I saw a familiar face, which is my friend Ashley, and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, what are you doing here?" She goes, "Yeah, my dad put this event together." I was like, "Okay." I saw Jessie perform. I saw Candy perform. It was Candy when she was dancing with what's his name?
Juan Matos.
Nope. Way before that.
Mm.
Way before when she was oh my god. Jason Catalano.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay. I know
Yes.
exactly.
Jay Catalano. Yep. Candy and him. I saw Jessie perform. I saw April and Kike. I
Wow.
saw it's like when I say old school. Starlight Kids was there, Young Ambition was there.
Wow.
Like, and then there's another fellow studio here in Stratford. They're
Mhm.
called Latin Rhythms, and they perform
Yes.
as well. So when I saw them, I was like, no, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna find. And then my friend, she's like, Kim, just come to the studio. My dad owns the studio right here. I was like, what?
Yeah.
When I knew my mom wasn't going to pay for it, so I had to work. I had to pay for my classes.
Mm.
So when it was finally time, I'm going to tell you this. The first time I walked into that class, they had me on the side learning my basic, and I saw like a group of like 5 girls doing a routine. So I'm saying, okay, this is and then they see me, black girl. They're like, okay, you're gonna learn your basic 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I got bored. So it was a basic and a right turn, a basic and a right turn, a basic and a right
Oh
turn.
man.
Like throughout that whole hour, and all I'm hearing is dun, 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 dun,
Oh.
like da, 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 da. I was like, nah, B. I was like, can I do that? When I tell you Kike was my teacher, he looked at me like, girl, learn your basic. Like, what are you like, why are you rushing? Like, I was like, but I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny is one of the girls, she went to high school with me. I kid you not, Diamond. I followed her the whole week. I said, Uralis, what's your schedule at school? She's like, I said, when do you have gym? When do you have lunch? When do you have this? I said, I'm going to learn it by next week. Yo,
Wow.
Diamond, I promise you. I learned my homegirl's school schedule. I learned all of her classes. I was like, all right, you go this way, you go that way. Da, da, da. I said, okay. She goes, oh, snap, you got it. I said, yeah. Next week. It's on. That following Friday, they're like, okay, Kim, now you can learn your left turn. I said, no, I could do that. And then he was like, what? I said, okay. He goes, all right, try. Turn on the music. Diamond, I did the whole routine.
Look at you. I did
the whole routine.
Wait, but let me ask you a question though. What was that moment like when your parents found out that you were dancing?
They were just like, okay, it's just a typical hobby. Just do your schoolwork. Do your like their main thing was like
education comes
first and whatever. But see, I did the opposite. I thought dance was more important than my schoolwork.
Mm-hmm.
So and it showed. So my mom called up the studio. My daughter shouldn't be dancing. She needs to focus on her schoolwork. I was like, yo, Lou, don't worry about her. I'm gonna perform.
Yeah. All right. So then even now, like you said, with Lou and working with that, so kind of in a sense, fast forwarding, what was that moment like for you for that first performance? That first official performance you had?
The first official performance was definitely our Ran Can Can.
Oh man, I've heard that.
Yeah. I honestly felt alive. I was like, wow, I'm doing this because I loved
Mhm.
it so much. I was like, this is different. I was called wanna be Puerto Rican, wanna be Spanish. Why are you learning how to dance salsa? You're Haitian. And then I even had a woman that I grew up with. She was like, what are you doing here? You not Puerto Rican? And then that's when I started getting the attitude. I was like, but I bet you I dance better than you.
Yes. Hey, listen, everybody at one point has that notion. Like what you're saying is, it hits me as well, because me being Puerto Rican, but I'm also mixed, not speaking Spanish as fluent, I always used me learning and performing as a get back of,
Yeah.
all right, if I may not understand fully what they're saying, but I
Mm-hmm.
will make sure that I dance better than everyone that I see. So I get, and it was for a while as a teenager traveling and performing.
Mm-hmm.
I started building in my mind, I'm already going to prove people wrong without them having to tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's that thing of dealing with yourself, of like understanding what people's words can do,
Yeah. Yeah.
even when you're starting out. And think about it, you've had that ridicule from the jump,
I
but
did.
that didn't stop you.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
I
and
didn't.
listen, because I've met people that they've had bad experiences of just people ridiculing what they do, and they stop. So
Yeah.
I give it up to anyone that can go through those kind of hardships and still adapt and overcome, because that shows resilience. So then, going from that first show,
Mm-hmm.
when was, or I know many people say they're still in that moment, but was there a moment that you felt everything clicked? From the trainings, from classes you took, was there like maybe that year one, year two, year three period when it was like, oh, I'm really getting this and into this?
I would have to say the last time that I performed at the New York Congress, which was
Mm.
back in 2009.
Mhm.
That's when I performed with Sangre Nueva.
Yes, I remember that performance. I remember those rehearsals. Oh, definitely with Yesenia, with George Dennis, with you, wi-
Yeah,
with a
it
multitude
was.
of people.
It was. They were. We had. It was me, John Jay,
Yes.
Arturo, Dennis, um, Jennifer Kung, Teresa. Oh my God, this another friend of mine. Oh my God, he's on my friends list. Oh crap, I forgot his name. He's so amazing too. Um, but that team, we were just so like our rehearsals were just we're getting ready. We're gonna do this. We were
Yeah.
like, and we did Guarachera, and
Yep.
that song was so like you
Yeah.
don't. I miss that rugged old
Mm.
school. That congratulations to everybody that does technique. I'm not mad at you. You're great. You're cool. But I miss that. You know that
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 raw.
that
That
raw street feel when you're really feeling your routine. Like
yes.
it's you and your crew. Can't nobody tell you and your crew nothing. Like,
Mhm.
and that's how we walked up on stage. I was like, and I had bronchitis. I had bronchitis. I was like, I don't care. I got this. I got this.
Yeah.
And that's when it definitely like, I was like, okay, this is it.
I
I got
mean, and
this.
hey, I mean, a lot of artists are still finding that moment, but to see, even how far back and understanding, like when you're on these stages, you understand the privilege you have, but you understand is that not many people can dedicate the time and the effort to learn a routine, to kind of sacrifice time on their own, to dedicate to this, to work and get costumes, and then actually be on stage and entertain a crowd for X amount of minutes.
Yeah,
So I give it out. I give it up to anybody. And like you
absolutely.
said, back in 2009 with Sangre Nueva, and then now really, and I have to ask you this, even in CT, did you guys kind of then notice, and we understood at one point salsa was king, all right, king, queen, everything in between.
Yeah.
But I noticed the surge in bachata. For you, did you kind of, was that also
But
relevant in CT as
yeah,
well?
it is actually right now, and I'm actually teaching bachata on
Oh
Monday.
my, okay, okay. We've grown and matured. Okay.
But the thing is, though, Diamond, bachata to me,
Yes.
like going out to the Dominican clubs back in the Heights, long time with, it's fun. Like it's like fun, not
Mhm.
like I'm gonna perform it, you know?
Gotcha.
Which I did have. I was definitely blessed with an opportunity to perform with FNF when they first started. It was Fausto and Farah.
Yes.
Um, I definitely got to experience performing it, and it was different. It was definitely different.
Yeah.
It was definitely a challenge. I will not deny it.
Yeah.
It was a challenge because I was like, oh shit, can I really do this? Like Farah was like, you're fine. You're gonna get it.
Yeah.
You're fine. You're gonna
I
get it.
mean, going from predominantly just learning salsa and then seeing the shit in bachata, and I say that because I say this a lot on this platform is we remember the times when bachata was an afterthought. Bachata was one or
Mhm.
two songs as a break song if you want to
Yeah.
relax and
Have a water.
have a water, got to use the restroom real quick. So let me play 2 or 3 songs of that. But, realizing that shift. And for me, there's some people that have the pushback, and that's totally understandable. But
Mhm.
in reality, in the dance world, people had to understand when it came to, at the end of the day, we can have a passion for this and love this, but this
Mhm.
still is a business that is commercialized. And it has
Absolutely.
to, over time, just like hip hop has changed and the what we listen on the radio is not what we listened to 10, 20 years ago.
I
That's
wish
the
it
same.
was.
I mean, we all do at some point, but realizing as well that in our dance world, there's always going to be new acts coming. The acts
Mhm.
that we were enamored with so many years ago, a lot of them have taken a step back, and that's life. But at the same accord, for people like us that are still here in any capacity and
Mhm.
have seen that change, I think it's also important to have other people. You can't force people to understand what it was like then to understand now,
Now, yeah.
but the fact is they still see people like us here, and then like now I get more than ever people asking me questions about what it was like. And
Yeah.
and in reality, I say this is that in this community, the experiences you've dealt with, whether good or bad, or even on the bad side, and me, I think the biggest thing is the word selfishness. Other people's selfishness or misery loves company. So sometimes that putting that negative bug in your back.
You know, I'm gonna say this. I can say we all can say like back in the there was the good, the bad, and the ugly. I can say what I've experienced being called Shaquita while
What?
walking by people. Yeah. They're like, oh, there go Shaquita thinking she could dance outside. I heard it and I was like, oh, okay. But but I can. But there was that. There were also experiences of directors taking advantage of your drive and your
Mm.
hunger and your passion. There's also, just also the team dynamics too,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
but I would say you're definitely right on the whole selfishness. Like it was very interesting. But when we talk like that, when people ask us like, "Oh, what was it like?" It's not, like you don't know how good you have it right now. I'm
Yeah,
like,
because I
yo,
mean, the addition of social media has forever changed our communities because we also remember a time, and it's so interesting is when you could only get the performance from the media team that filmed it in the Congress because when you couldn't have or phones weren't that savvy yet,
no,
or
our
when
phone. There were no camera phones.
yes, I mean
It
we
was the digital cameras.
the digital cameras, and you were lucky if you had that, and even if you did, you had the security that would tell you put it down.
Put
And
it down.
listen,
Yeah.
and I think as well social media has been a blessing, but it's also been a curse to some because what happens is nowadays I see is the moments of people are hot and they do a great routine,
Hmm.
and then in their mind they have to one up and one up and one up
Hmm.
instead of keep the same formula. Because and I've told many people, and it's interesting you being from CT, you were there and you actually talked about it earlier. I tell people this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I
Mhm.
feel something that was a game changer for our dance world was the Colombians. The Colombians, I feel,
Yeah,
changed things.
they
And I
they
would say
were on fire.
a specific moment that I remember was 2008, 2009 at CT Salsa Fest. Because I remember watching them at Tech. And this was like new when they had 20 people on
Oh
stage
my
and
god.
doing these tricks. And I remember just looking at different artists that have been traveling for years and world renowned and headliners. And I remember a lot of them having that fear. That was the first time I saw an adult in my setting looking fearful and
Wow.
overhearing people saying,
Oh shit.
"Oh shit." And then when it came showtime, and then when they're getting the standing O's, what I feel is that really happened, and I noticed it was the same groups that wasn't doing all the tricks and cabaret. The next routine, oh, we got to add it in there because they felt that was the formula. If we
Mhm.
started doing tricks and flips and changing how we are, and I get it, it can way be to pay homage, but then when you kind of digress or distance yourself from where you started
Mhm.
or what you're doing, I think that can kind of hinder your success. But for you, did you feel like the Colombian dancers coming into our scene around the mid 2000s, like, what do you feel that was kind of game changing?
I didn't feel any threat. I just felt like they just brought something different to the table. You
Yes,
know?
no, and that's what I mean. Not a threat.
Yeah,
It was just more
yeah.
of like like,
No,
oh,
because we were saying like, oh shit, I can't believe it, like whatever. But yeah, I think it's it would I think it is still my but I definitely feel like it was a great addition to our world. It was a great addition that Lou brought them over,
yes,
because he wanted to make sure like people came in. And one thing I know about Lou and Luz, when during that time when they were both the main runners for that, the
yeah,
event coordinators, they always wanted to bring something different to the table.
yes,
Always. And they did. Before the other local stuff started happening, they really did bring top-notch people to Connecticut Salsa Fest.
absolutely. I still remember, like, just every year, you're like, who are they gonna bring next? Who are they gonna bring?
Exactly. And then I remember I would talk like, oh, you want to believe who we have next? You want to believe
Yeah,
who we have next? It's like, for real, I can't wait. I can't wait. But when the Colombians came, I was like, oh wow. Wow,
yeah, and
they're good.
because for me, bringing back that theatrical performance in a routine, but having it make sense. And
Yeah.
I felt like, especially 2010, 2000, between 2010 2013, I feel were kind of transitional years
Hmm.
because then you started seeing more events opening up. Then you slowly started seeing bachata classes coming involved. Then you
Hmm.
had the additions like of Farah and Fausto and La Fuerza coming in. And
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, there were acts all over the world, but in terms of the
Absolutely.
states, in terms of the East Coast, I noticed 2010 to 2013 were those really pivotal years. And listen, I mean, as we are now, and people can agree or not, bachata has been global. And
It's evolved a lot. Um, it's evolved a lot. I would say my favorite is Dominican bachata. I like that.
yes,
Like I said, I'm more old school. If someone tries to do a sensual move with me, I tell them no.
oh, you put the
Um,
finger, or
yeah,
you okay?
I,
I
I
like,
don't put the finger. If I just please,
yes,
no, thank
yes.
you.
Miss me with that, please.
Yeah, I just to me, I just feel like it's just way. It's not me, but
Yes,
those that do it, they're great at
yes.
it. Um, but other than that, I'm like, thanks, but no
See,
thanks.
and I love is that your honesty and transparency, because don't get me wrong, people can do whatever style they want, but I think the most important thing is to have clarity and
Hmm.
understanding of what your comfort level is. Because
Exactly.
I totally understand about trying new things. Great. You try it, you like it, great. If you don't, that's great. And the thing
Hmm.
is, for me, seeing dancers over the years, and I think especially kind of moving forward now, really, with COVID, that really, for me, made me look at our community different. Because in one
Mhm.
fell swoop, we went from dancing one weekend to not knowing when we're going back.
Exactly. It's crazy.
And, and I tell people this is that, to see where we are now in 2022,
Mhm.
I always tell people, and I feel because for me traveling, the same people I knew 2 years ago are not the same people I know now. Almost. A
Mm.
lot of it has changed in terms of there is a new generation of dancers coming in. It's just not
Mhm.
like not everyone from 2, 3+ years ago are back or not back in the same capacity.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's a part of our community that is going to change. Now you're having a refreshed look in different communities of new dancers popping up,
Mhm.
new events popping up. And my thing is this is that I always say that's great for the community, but also at what cost?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the quality, I always say quality over quantity. So my question to you now is, you know, how has these past 2 years been for you as a dancer, but also how does it feel now changing the role from being the performer and the student to now being the teacher?
Um, it's funny. You asked that. Diamond, I was gonna stop dancing forever. I was gonna
Mm,
quit. Like 5, 6 years ago, I was like, no, I was like, I'm in nursing school. I'm gonna be a nurse, and dancing is just not it. And one of my
mhm.
girlfriends, Cassandra, she was like, have you not seen the way you look when you dance? Trust me, this goes with your question. I was like, whatever. And then finally, Lou called me and he was like, I would start subbing here and there at the studio, Latin
Yeah.
Roots. And then I'd come and I was like, oh, okay, fine, whatever. They had their youth program going, and I was like, all right. But then I was officially asked to join the studio full on.
Hmm.
And you know, being an instructor is a great feeling
Yeah.
now. Because you get to see where someone has started to where they are now. It's such a reward.
Mm.
And my favorite is like the kids.
Absolutely. I mean, the kid. It's always the younger ones that get to you a lot more.
Yeah, they because each of them have like a special piece of me, you know? They
Mm.
each bring something different and I see myself so much in these kids, you know? So as a teacher, I would say the past year, obviously 2 years ago was COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not in a way, COVID did me good because it taught me how to rest.
Yeah. Because you're going like a mile a minute, and you don't realize like how much you're
Oh my
not.
God.
Yeah.
Like it was like rehearsal, showcase, driving to Queens, working full time my regular job, going to the studio to teach, going to, and then I started a women's team on top
Mm.
of that, my bombshells, rehearsing with them. I'm remembering their choreography. Like
Yeah.
it was to the point where time I was falling asleep behind the wheel after
Oh my
like
God.
gigs from New York driving to back home to
And
Connecticut.
even that 45-minute ride can feel like 2 hours
No,
sometimes.
oh my gosh.
Especially that traffic on the Bruckner. You don't want.
Listen, and you're like, no, there's
Yeah.
construction.
Yes.
Ah! And I would have to pull over and take a nap just so I could go. I used to
Mm.
rhinestone my costumes during break. And
Wow.
like it was exhausting. Like
Yeah.
exhausting. Like you show up, you want to be your authentic stuff. You want to be 100% when you show up to the studio, you know? But it wasn't like that. But now I can say I've learned when to say no. I can't take on
Yeah.
a gig. I've learned how to say boundaries pretty much.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a part of us in growing up because a lot of times we like to appease people. We like to please people. We like to make sure people are happy, but a lot of times we're not making ourselves happy.
No. And my cup was empty.
Mm.
Yeah, it was definitely empty. And I didn't realize it until like COVID hit. And then last year I was like, okay, now you're gonna pace yourself. You're gonna
Hmm.
pace yourself. And it's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes to every gig.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm saying yes in terms of I
No, no, no.
agree. I do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to say yes to every gig. Don't worry about it. Another one will come. It'll happen. But I love being a teacher. It's very
Mhm.
it's I love it. It's
And
frustrating sometimes.
trust me, there's some kids that just test
You're
you.
not even the kids, they're adults too. You're like,
Oh, listen. I feel for you, and again, I appreciate just seeing also as well with social media. The great thing is getting to just see what people are up to over this past few years, even if
Mhm.
you're not there to see them physically, and just seeing that you still are able to help your community even after all those years and all the stuff that goes on in your life. Because even though you have a dance life, it's still life, and you have to be able to balance and juggle it. But it's good to see and at least before we get into our last segment, then for you, what are some things you're looking forward towards for the future?
For the future, what am I looking towards to? Personally or
It could be personally or mixed in with dance, but like for you, what are some goals that you have really set for yourself, maybe in 2022?
for 2022, I actually I started I can call it like a self-care type of business, KC Comfort slash Lashes by K.
Hmm.
Um it's where I plan on selling bath salts and sugar scrubs. I mainly wanted to give that towards like, our dance community because we're exhausted and we're sore after rehearsals and showcases, and it's something it's homemade.
Hmm.
I make that, so I'd like to launch that. Well, I do plan on launching. I already did the lashes, which I'm wearing right now.
Okay.
um these are called Movement.
I like it. I love the plug. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that, and mainly is to grow the youth program at the studio. I'd love
Hmm.
to have more kids join us. So far it's happening, and I thank God for it. I'm so thankful for that. And the kids, they're they're a handful sometimes, but to see that they come and every week it's like, oh Miss Kim, I did it. Oh Miss Kim, I know I'm gonna show you. I practice. It's just that's like my end goal, is like to make sure there's growth there. Um,
Mm.
particularly. Yeah.
Yeah, hey, I mean, listen, it's not easy inspiring the future, and we need people like you to do it. And I think it helps us now transition to our last segment called the randoms, which is some questions that I've kind of picked up here during our talk today.
Okay.
May deal with dance and everything in between. So, are you ready for the first question?
Hit me.
Let's go.
Let's go.
One last meal. If you could have one last meal right now, what would it be?
One last meal. If my grandmother were alive, it would be her rice and beans. There's something called legume. It's like a mixture of,
Yeah, I know. Yeah, legume.
yeah. That would be my last meal.
Okay, I gotta
Mhm.
give it. All right, I like that. All right, so we're gonna test your love for Haitian food. So you got two choices. You got some pickles and griot or soup jamu
Pickles and grill.
or griot. Sorry, you gotta. I could just hear it come out of you. Oh my god. See, and see when I ask people these cultural questions, we put them on the spot, but you answered that off the
Mhm.
rip.
Pickles and grill.
Okay. I like that. All right. Now let's take it to the dancing side. So you are at one of your favorite events of all time. It
Okay.
is a Sunday night.
Mhm.
You are at the social and you can have one last dance. Who is it going to be with?
Oh my God. Who would my last dance be with? Damn, Diamond.
I put you on the spot.
You did. Who would my last dance be with? Here's the thing. People are gonna know this now. I have a thing where, although I've been dancing for 20 plus years, the pros still make me nervous. They still make me nervous to dance with them. Oh my God. I would have to say my first dance instructor, Kike.
Okay. Hey, see, I can see that the love that comes out of that statement.
Yeah, like yo, I'm grateful because I learned a lot from him.
Hey, and then for that moment having with him all those years back, that was a game changer for you because it could have been a bad experience and then you probably wouldn't be where you are now. But at least before we get to our next question, someone here, we're going to figure out who it is though, but they say they don't have the greatest of service, but they just wanted to say Kim is such a fun, loving, talented soul who nurtures her peers and raises the youth, a necessary source of energy in this community, and she is not done. My flowers to you and all that you've accomplished, my Latina sister.
Oh my God.
We're gonna figure out who that is. I'll figure it out. But again, these are those moments that I love sharing with guests like yourself because, like you said earlier, I mean, with our careers, we're just moving. And a lot of times we don't have time to reflect. So having these moments, I think, are valuable. But we have about 3 more questions here, and it's gonna get this next one I call more of a spicy question. So we should definitely see. And they say it's Mike. Am I assuming if it's a Mike Movimiento Garcia? I believe so. I believe
you made me cry.
I believe so. But this next question here may change up your mood real quick. So we're gonna keep it back into the social scene. And we're gonna say, we've all had those moments, but for you, dancing with someone picks you up to dance. What is the biggest pet peeve at a social when you are dancing with someone?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you about an experience that I had. I don't like when someone, no one's perfect on a dance floor.
Yeah.
You're just flowing and you're just moving, right? Some people I notice, like, if they're a little more advanced than you, when you don't get a turn pattern that they're having you do.
They're like, this didn't go my way, so I'm kind of lost now.
And then, no, because this has happened to me, and this person was like, no, over here. If my arm is going over your hand, this is where you're supposed to go. And I was so bothered by that. I checked him on it by the end of the social.
Thank God. Thank you. We need more people.
I told him, I said, listen, I know you're a bit more advanced than I am, but can you not do that again? I said, I just wanted to dance with you. Yeah. Why'd you have to correct me like that on the dance floor? This is not a class.
Yeah. I mean, and even so, there's a way, this is the quorum you're supposed to have. And the fact is that if he wanted your hand to be there, he would lead you into that position.
He did that thing. Like, I got frustrated because I was like, yo, just let it go. Let's just flow with the song. I'm enjoying it. Let it go. Let it go. Nope. Here. Your hand goes here.
That, just imagine, it seems a little more funny in a sense from the person looking outside in.
Yeah.
They see it's a body like break.
Yeah. Hey. Now I could definitely laugh at it, but I'm just like, but when I see that person, that's what I go back to. I remember that.
And see, again, those impressions matter. And whether it's that one dance, you can have great dances, but there could be that one dance that, hey, your comfort level changes, and that's okay. But you even be able to speak about it, I sincerely appreciate it. And now we're getting to our second to last question here. This one's a little more introspective. So if you aren't dancing, you are doing blank.
If I am not dancing, what am I doing? You know what? I love to just chill on my couch and Netflix and chill. I'm always going out, like with my friends, my family, lunches and brunches. But now I've come to enjoy being home. Excuse me.
Your homebody.
On my social media may not look like it.
Yes.
But little do people know, I love being like, it looks a mess now because I'm like, my living room is like my personal factory, but my home is my sanctuary. Like I love being here. And when my Mr. Right comes along and swoops me off my feet, he'll be right here with me.
There you go. Hey, listen, I think many of people have realized that a lot of people like staying home more than ever now, but and that's okay because hey, going all to these events a lot of times it can be draining. It can definitely be a change till now and seeing kind of how you maneuver through life. So I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate that. So
Because when
now,
you
uh-huh.
sorry, the last thing I was gonna say is like, because when you're constantly like, you're giving your energy so much while
Yes.
you're teaching, while you're conversing with people. It's like, yeah, it's a lot of energy to give energy. So
Mhm.
you need that time to recharge. You
Yeah.
really do. You need that time to recharge.
No, no, you're definitely right. And hey, listen, as years go on and time goes on, you just find out a little bit more about yourself. And hey, that's some
Hmm.
self reflection there. And now it brings us to our last question. So, really, Kimberly, of course, you are still very young and vibrant. But for you, and I always ask people this question,
Hmm.
kind of thinking ahead when you're in maybe a new capacity in your life,
Hmm.
how do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? Honestly, I want to be remembered as the woman that when she walks in, she lights up the room. Like that my energy is so light and positive that it's like Kim never had anything bad to say. Kim was always that your go-to for a piece of laughter.
And hey, listen, we need as much joy and laughter more than ever because, again, as well, my heart here goes out to the victims, the 21 victims at the Robb Elementary School
Oh my
um,
god.
in Texas.
Horrible.
And listen, for me, more than ever, as a community, whether you're teaching children, whether you're teaching adults, I think as well, people in our community, we love dance, but we should just as well appreciate one another and appreciate what we have
Mm-hmm.
because we
Mm-hmm.
realize in this world things change. Even through COVID, there are some dancers that I know that are no longer here. And that
No.
also too, it happens in our society is that we remember this one day and by the next it's always to something.
No.
So with COVID, I think having us reflect on, hey, there are some more things in life that are more important than this dance thing we have. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, saying that means a lot because I have the word tattooed on my back.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I had to understand that dance is a part of my life, but
Yeah.
it's not my life.
Exactly. Agreed.
And the special thing about hearing what you said about how you want to be remembered is just the genuineness.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some people out there that just want to be known for being a public figure. But with that, comes responsibility. And you being a
Exactly.
teacher, you have a responsibility. You as a friend, you as a someone's child, someone's daughter, there's always a responsibility. And as we get older, it's how we
Mm-hmm.
represent ourselves to other people. And,
Yeah.
honestly, just seeing how far you've grown thus far,
Thank
I'm
you.
thankful that our dance community has a person like you. And thank you for doing that
Thank
segment.
you.
Of course, but now it helps us transition to the conclusion of our talk tonight. And
Mm-hmm.
like we've talked as well, I feel like this is a part one to hopefully more parts because again, our lives are like onions and kind of getting little glimpses into your life are truly valuable. But at least before we do go, if you had any last few words for myself and the audience, but also some contact info on how we can reach you and take a class with you.
Oh, you guys can reach me Facebook, Kimberly Charles. I'm here. Instagram, it's Miss Finesse 83. So it's MS underscore FINESSE
Mhm.
83. If you'd like to take classes with me, you can DM or you can contact Latin Moves Dance Studio. Um, We have a website, or you can call 203-967-3105.
Mhm.
I normally teach on Mondays. I teach at 7:30. I teach a drop-in beginner salsa class, and then at 8:30 I teach it's more so on the beginner side, a bachata class.
Mhm.
And then on Thursdays I have my lady styling at 7:30. But I also, if you want to bring your kids to me, hey, we're open in the summer.
There you
After
go.
Christ's Day, bring your kids. We're gonna have some fun the month of July. And then our official fall program, we're gonna start doing enrollment as well at the studio.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
And again, just being able to see you, even though it's not physically, just being able to see you and catch up, it's great. And again, I just want you to know, from one artist to another, thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Your work is truly valuable, and I definitely can't wait for the future that we can connect. And definitely, people, you'll be seeing the one and only Kimberly Charles on a future episode here at the Live Discussions with Diamond podcast. This is episode 217. Everyone, have a great end to your week. And
See you at Tri-State.
yes, see you at Tri-State Dance Fest. Trust me, more info to come.
Yes.
Yes, and everyone, have a great night. See you soon.